Hello, 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 and welcome to the stream. I had to restart my entire setup. Kind of wild. But yeah, it is technically 6 a.m. I wasn't even planning on staying down here overnight, but it was just easier to. Now, there's a lot of places that I could go, but I don't think I want to stay down here during the night tonight. Wait, could I pop her? Because she's pretty. No, she doesn't exist. Bamboozled again. The guard is busy. That's fair. Oh, look at this. Look at it. Look at it. Creeping. Look at it. Okay, I'm not gonna go down there because I kind of don't want to right now. I have to go take care of my animals and stuff, so we gotta get back to the farm like yesterday. Oh, I should probably check my goddess blessing. No blessing. Fast travel. Farm. Am I positive that the stream won't crash? No. So we'll see how it goes. Not. Oh, I should probably get rid of this. Hold on. Playing a game. Knock, knock. What's up? Hey, Satin. Rise and shine. I didn't wake you, did I? Hey, anybody have any fish? The general store didn't have any. And fishing's too wet for my liking, so that won't work. No, it isn't for dinner. I need it for reasons. Not important. Oh, by the way, it's not at all relevant, but I thought I should mention, just in case. Please don't say anything about the simile. Okay. Anyway, where are we with the fish situation? How much do I owe you? I don't have any fish, dude. Whoa, for free, you're sure? Because I don't have any. Your next lunch is on me then. Who'd have thought being a farmer could make someone so handy with things? Thank you for the fish. The non-existent fish, you're very welcome. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why, but I still heard my opening music and I should not hear that. But eventually I'll fix my OBS along with my computer and everything else. Oh, pumpkin time! Oh my gosh. Perfect. Oh, we have eggplants and they're good eggplants. They're not crappy eggplants. They're eggplants with a future. Okay, these aren't grown yet. I got this. And this. Ooh, and we got honey. Gonna save. Let's just cover the first one. Let's hop the fence. Let the babies out. Okay. I don't even know what this is. What is this? Jackfruit. Okay. Hi, Luffy. Seems extra vibrant today. You're dang right. That's my baby. Oh wait, no. I need to give you more vegetables. Almost made the horrible mistake. Look at all this jam I have. You're next. Might as well make some sweet potato, pickled sweet potato. Okay. Oh wait, I should sell all these jams and stuff. Sell them. cranberry. Oh yeah. We're gonna make some good money this time. I don't think I can turn this into nuts, but I might as well check. I can! Alright, let's hurry up and go to the goddess. Give her her pumpkin so I can get whatever it is she's trying to give me. Ah, and it's bronze. That's something that sucks. But I'll get more, it's fine. Alright. Barley seeds. That's so boring. I'll take it, but alright. Thanks, I guess. Okay. What else we gotta do? Oh yeah, winter, and we still need ocean loot. We're not worried about that. Freshwater fish. I should probably go fishing. Cooking, fruit plant. Durian, mango. Oh, I haven't given nice dragon fruit yet. Okay, we will do that. First, let's go back to our farm. We're gonna plant our stuff. We're gonna water everything that isn't watered properly. Yeah, let's plant. We have quite a few empty spots, so why not? Yes, I can. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real mom. I just got off the phone with my mom, so I'm mostly positive you're not my mom. Mostly. Let's go pet the babies. Oh yeah. Pets for all. Always got something to say, side chick. I know it. I know it. Yeah, I'll take these. 4, perfect. Do. Alright, let's go. Pet. And pet. And pet. I think it's time to shear you again. I know I need to get milk. Okay. I'm trying to think where I... Okay, you can go in there. You can go in there. Okay. I don't want to deal with this right now. Keep the fig on me. I'll put this in here for now. Oh, I gotta put this away. No, I'll put this away together. Ugh. Gotta do everything at once, alright. Put that away. And I gotta put these away. Put this egg away. Did I grab the fishing rod? No, I did not. Fishing rod. And I'm gonna go mine. Might as well have the food with me. Oh wait, no, I should put these away. There we go. Oh, do I have my kitchen yet? I haven't checked that. Maybe I do. Let's check it out. Do I have my kitchen? No. Bamboozled again. Okay, it's gonna be sunny tomorrow. I don't care. Well, I do have some money. Alright, alright. I'll go do this. I don't wanna, but I'll do it. I also want to go pick up a sweet outfit. Okay. Are you sleeping? Can I share you? No. But I know for a fact I can milk you. How dare you yell at me? You miss. Get it together. Oh. I have some good ones. So throw that in there. Throw that in there. Stop yelling at me. Okay. And cheese. Alright. No. Yeah, do. Got these. Okay, woodlands. Woodlands. We'll be pretty quick with this. I do want to go straight to the mines. And I'm bringing my fishing rod because I know that there are fishing spots. Oh, cutscene. with Raphael. Hey there, Satin. It's a little quiet today. Hey, I've been doing some thinking. I'll level with you. An explorer came into my shop the other day. He told me he knew where to find Tevadium. I don't know what that is. Tevadium. Tevadium! You never heard of it? No. Tevadium can be used to make magic weapons. One very specific magical item in particular, the Iron Eye Hammer. I know, it sounds far-fetched. Honestly, I find it hard to believe too. But if ore is real, the hammer may be real too. And this explorer actually said he could get me some. I'm gonna be with him. I'm not gonna be against him. That sounds incredible. I thought so too. That's why I hired him to help me. Oh, Raphael, you sweet boy. He said he saw Tevadium in an underwater cave not far from here. He'd bring me some for, well, for more than I care to spend. Oh, Raphael. But hey, if it works. Anyway, I've chewed your ear off plenty. More than I've talked to most people in this town. I thought you deserved to know. Wish me luck. Oh, he's gonna get scammed. It's always good to believe in something, but geez. My poor boy gonna get scammed. Okay. Let's quickly go to the outfit shop. Because we haven't gotten really anything for fall. Like, people are out here looking fresh, and we look blah. Like, we can't be living like this. We show our faces to the masses, you know? Kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. Oh. I went the right way. I was gonna say, I went the wrong way. No. Save it. Because it's sputtering a little bit, so I don't want it to do the crash-a-do. Oh god, can't you just give me a full outfit that's like easygoing? Alright, I did like this. It does seem more fall-like. It's like the full body outfits even don't really scream fall. Inspect fancy shoes. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was somewhere else to buy. I do like that. I mean, I could wear this for fall, you know? A little Sakura. Honestly, that's kind of cute. Like, I could wear the chicken, but it doesn't scream fall. Neither does this. It kind of screams summer. If anything, I should buy this. Which is not bad. It's the company, you know? It's the company. Not a bad item to have. I'll buy it. Okay. Let's go back home. Put our stuff away. Go to the mines. Do our thing. Hi, Bon Bon. I do not have time for you, Bon Bon. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. This is sputtering to hell and back. Oh, it's all back on Epic. Don't know why. That's probably why. Medium, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it changed. Not sure. But I will save that. So maybe it'll sputter a little less. Not by much. Oh god. Why is sputtering so hard? Show backup. Enable jealousy. Ooh, imagine if you didn't have jealousy. I wonder if it's like for everyone. You know what I mean? Oh god, the motion blur. I don't want no motion blur because that's how I get sick. Shadows, textures. I guess all that is fine. Alright, let's hope that helps. I ain't donating crap. I will grab this flower, but I'm not donating nothing. I'm selling. Hello, baby. Okay, anyway. Have I ever had that before? I don't care enough. And this. Let's see. Okay, I've donated that already. I wasn't sure. Not that I really care because I'm not going to take it out, but still I wanted to know. Like, oh, I'm going to need to find another one. Alright, back in there you go. Nope. I am on a mission. I'm on a hunt. Technically, I'm still wearing my pants as well. Okay, to the cavern. Ay, ay, ay. Glad I'm finally off. I'm glad. Don't have to go to bed right away. That's like my main thing. I have to go to bed right away because I have work at 7 in the morning usually. Hate it. I'm allowed to hate it. You have cause, Michael? Oh, I have cause. Because I hated it. Oh, what's up? I guess we'll fight. Didn't really need to, but I'll do it. Whatever. Okay, Earth Essence. I really didn't need any of that. Do I have the ability to make a bomb? I do. I forgot I have so much freaking ore. I have a ridiculous amount of ore. Okay, I need this to move. Oh, when did I get a letter? We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from. Pick the coconut trees later in each season. That's when they drop fruit. Thank you. I didn't need that, but thank you. There we go. Perfect. Down I go. Literally don't care to be in all these spots. I'm just trying to make it to 50, bro. Kind of in my way. Okay, let's do this one. Put one here. Oh, good. Got an exit. Got some extra rocks. Perfect. Now we can go. Gotta find a nice big entrance. At 33, and it's only 4 p.m., so that's a good sign. But things can change very easily. Okay, let's wait. Nothing. Airball. That's fine. Let's find more rocks that are huddled together. Excuse me, pardon me. You guys are kind of in my way over here. I guess I'll just do this real quick. See if I can make another few. Okay, and what else? Wait, what is this? Oh, I could have made this whole time. I was like, I really need glass. Wow. I haven't made that. Odd. Odd behavior on me. Honestly. Okay. Nothing. Alright. Let's keep moving. I think I gotta move up for this. So there's a nice big cluster up here. Is this cheating? Maybe. Mind your business. Nothing. Alright. I got one more bomb before I have to go old-fashioned over here. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's do this. Not a big cluster, but... Ah, there it is. See that? Buddha listens. Thank you, Buddha. He listens. Okay, and we're gonna do that to get some ore. We kind of have to replenish our ore over here. Okay. Slow down. Keep it pushing, keep it moving. We don't want to stay down any long, stay in a certain spot any longer than we have to be. Okay, I do have to cut through, might as well. Just do that. Oh, well that was rude. I shouldn't have had to kill you, sir. That was crazy work. You're being ridiculous right now. That was unnecessary. Tough meat. Okay. Oh, I should probably save while I'm down here too, because it could just as easily crash down here. It is 7 p.m. in game. What's up? How y'all doing? Well, you don't like I'm breaking rocks? I wasn't even bothering you. Also, gotta go to my quest. Yeah. I think literally I have to get to 50. Down I go. Getting closer every day. Ooh, mushy. I'll be taking that. Nope, get closer. That's celery. Not even close to my health, like dwindling too far down, so not worried about it. Pardon me. Oh god, it's these rocks. They're not much harder than the other ones. Thought they would be based on their shape. Oh, there is water. I do want to fish here. Because I want to at least try to get one fish while I'm out here. Then I could say I fished in the cave and got this interesting fish. That was trash. Try again. Come on. We're only down to 37. Shit. I need you to chill. Chill, chill, chill. Chill, 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 chill. Chill out, chill out. I gotcha. What is it? A tilapia. Okay, I have to donate you. Alright, let's go back home. Down we go. Double check there's no flowers. There's a chestnut. It's a pretty good chestnut. Oh yeah, to the farm! To the farm! Okay, I don't have much trash. But I should throw the kiln over here. Let me occupy it. It's over here now. Ooh, I got extra stuff that I can throw. Let's grab these. Put that mushroom in there. There is another plant right here. Nope, no, no. There it is. I'm like, you can't fool me. I can see you. Pickled ginger. I'll take that. Pickled fig. Pickled celery. Is that it? Oh yeah, there's cheese down here. Oh yeah, I still gotta water you guys. Oh god. Hold on. I'll be right with you. I'll do all that. Let me just sell this stuff. I will not be bamboozled again a second time. This. Let me get a watering can. Right here. barely have to fill this thing up anymore. Which, it took me forever to get with the program to be able to do that, so... I'm not gonna act like I'm so great now. Okay, this... I don't know what's going on with this. I think it just grows. I don't think I need anything for it, if I'm being honest. Okay. Then we put this in fighting. Boom. 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 Oh, hi, Luffy. Stretches out lazily, as you should. Go ahead, girl. Farming went up. Wow, I can make number 2 now. Oh, new record. Look at that. Our money is up. Okay. Game saved. Ooh, look at our house. Lindy, you see all this space we have, girl? Oh my gosh. You can cook all kinds of stuff now. Look at our recipes. We can make all kinds of stuff now. This is ridiculous. And we have so many recipes that we got from people. That's crazy. I wonder if I go in their houses now, if they'll have different recipes. Hi, baby girl. Let me take off this hat. Change. No hat, no pants. No shoes, because it's a full outfit. Okay. What is it? Sunny. Detective show? Still ARC 1. Do I gotta wait a year? Hi, how's fall? A friend is looking for a black trumpet. We'll pay a lot of money for it. There should be plenty growing around the lake. If you find any, please save one for me. Thanks for the fish. It's that free lunch I promised you. Oh, heck yeah. Should I save some of these? I don't know. I feel like I should save some veggies. I guess I'll double check my box. Come on out. Come on out. Oh, there's cheese ready. Heck yeah. And actually, I could just throw this in there. And this isn't ready yet. Nope. Throw that in there. Throw the cheese in here. Nope. Why'd I throw the trash? I should be doing something with the trash too. I have so much. Ridiculous amount. Okay, let's turn the stone into glass. Wait. So many flowers. This doesn't count as a flower. That's a brain. Okay. Rocks. Only 5 at a time. That's interesting. Okay. Put rocks away. Okay. Oh yeah, I need my garbage. But it goes pretty fast when I use this. Look at that. Cut through it pretty easily. Okay. Oh, forgot to put the compost away. Yeah. Let's go back to mining. In you go, in you go. And I will take all this. No, I gotta water first. I got things to water. My rice is ready. I'll put that in the fridge. I should also check my stuff. So I have quite a few things. Okay. I'm gonna stick this all in the fridge so I have it for later. Eggs. Okay, tell me what I can make with my recipes. Nothing right now, it looks like. Yeah, nothing. But we'll get there. It's fine. We don't need things right away anyway. It's fine. Okay, water stuff. Go. You don't need to be watered. So let's go pet the babies. Okay, everybody's looking pretty. They're sitting pretty. We love to see it. Where did I put it? Oh wait, I do need this. Where the hell did I put the water? Not the water can, oh my god. The milk stuff up here. I put it up here. Amazing! Our milk pail. I just couldn't think of the word. Because it doesn't look like a milk pail. It doesn't look like a bucket. I should probably pet you guys too. Show you I love you. Alright. Have I offered that to the goddess yet? Okay, it has been offered. Fabulous. So I gotta turn it into cheese, and I wasn't sure. Okay. Where are you? No, if you don't get out of my way. Hell yeah, I got me some wool. Aw. I got a large wool. I do have to give that to the goddess. I gotta make my way over there anyway. Oh, let's put the milk in the cheese maker. The cheese press. I can't put the small one in there, no. So I'll put this in here for now. Yeah. Let's go. No, goddess blessing first. Strawberries, star, book, fast. Oh well. Let's go to the woodlands. We'll do our little thing, get our stuff, and then we'll go to the goddess and stuff. Process. Of course. Of course. Now, I do have to give her precious gems. I don't know if the pink one counts. But yeah, I will give her hopefully this. Oh, okay. That's it. To the goddess. Where else do you think you're gonna go? Are you stupid? No. Goddess, I'll give it to you. Don't yell at me. Okay, I knew it. I need multiple though. I think it's down here. No, it is this one, isn't it? Nope. It's this one. Yep. Barn animals. Oh, okay. I need a silver, so I haven't presented it. But we also need a goat. And now we can do basic cooking, which will be great. Grilled fish I could have got for you forever, girl. You're tripping. Anyway. Back to the house. Grab this. Shiitake trips are crazy. Crazy name. Whatever. I don't care. Oh. Alright. Probably have some more food. Nah, I think that'll be fine. Alright, let's go to the cavern. Any flowers or anything over here? Thought I'd check. What you selling, buddy boy? Stuff I don't want. Okay, got it. Save again. Last thing I need is for it to not. Okay. It's 12. Why are you stopping at 30? Maybe because I went to 35. I know for a fact I went to 35. I went to 38. Do I have enough to make room? Probably not. I do. One time. Do I have enough? Because I don't know. To make any explosives? I do. It's gonna piss me off if I can't get down. So, do it here. We're not gonna waste these. I'm gonna really wait and look. Okay. Nothing interesting. Keep moving. At least I got some more coal so I can make another. Another one here. Nothing. Such a waste. Anything up on this side? Kinda. Okay. Please. No. I'm gonna have to make more for sure. Silver cup. Okay. Sucks. See? There we go. Let me in there. I don't care about anything else. Okay. There are quite a few that... No, they're all kind of spaced out. This is a good group over here, maybe. But they're all kind of spaced out. Nothing interesting. Alright. Maybe these. No. Add them away. You're gonna get hit, but you know, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Wasn't worth it. Was not worth it. Damn it. Nothing. What the hell? What the hell? Need more coal. This is fucking me up, bro. Nope, no coal. Damn. I was getting so lucky the day before, but this one, Okay, I did get coal. Go forward and hope you hit it. Okay, got more coal. Not mad about it. Nope, did not get more coal. I'm a dirty liar. I'm mad about it. Lay it down, you bag of bones. Nobody cares. I wonder if you need a certain thing to release the earth giant. Oh, there's that exit. What are we at? 34? No, 33. Okay. Not going great. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. Oh, bats. I need your wings. For the goddess. I got one. Wow. Thanks, goddess. What have you ever done for me? I'm gonna try and make another one. Farming miscellaneous? Because this doesn't, yeah, it is miscellaneous. Okay, another one. Let's see. Nothing. Okay. Playing cat scratch over here. And I'm losing to myself. How embarrassing. Okay. Already 6. I started at 12. Which in real life, this actually probably would be accurate. Well, not accurate, because it would take longer than that, but you know. Accurate enough. And I'm just gonna do this. Pop in. So I'm at 35. I'm going to leave. I should be able to go back down to 35. No. Why is that? Is it bugged? Hold on. Hold on. Actually, that's a good chance. I'm gonna look this up. Let me save this. That's odd. And I will do a be right back, guys.
请别忘记如同清水般内心中的心情，将早已决定好的框架设计好，去丢弃不着不经意间随口喊出的句子说明，纠缠着我的心，你藏的言语向着天空。
Okay, I looked it up. It's level 40, which normally wouldn't be an issue, but right now is an issue. So I'm gonna have to focus on my farm for a bit to get more wood, so I can get more coal, so I can make more explosives. Never-ending cycle. You never truly win. Okay, and I'm gonna get this. Get that stone. Ah, this sucks. Well, I guess I'll check for a flower to see if I can make more honey. Also, he asked me to get something from the lake. I don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah, the trumpet. He's like, oh, it'll be by the lake. If you know what it'll be, why are you asking me to get it? Like, why can't you just get it? You spent all this effort. Hi. How's your farm going? You should stop by, see what I'm growing. Sure, I'd love to. Thanks for the invite. Oh, we can hang out. This should be fun. Okay. I was a little busy, but okay. Where should we go? I get to choose. Okay, artifact at the gems. Let's go. Go on in, y'all. Go in. Fabulous. Look at us. Cleaning up the museum. Making it a proper home. I mean, quite proper, actually. That's right. Clean that floor. And then we'll hang out a little bit. Look at all the gems I freaking collected. I've collected a lot. And now we're gonna gossip. We're so in love. Alright. Just the staring always gets me. Had a good time. Catch up again soon. Sure. And you got me slightly closer to the lake, so thanks, I guess. Even though it was a bit of a time skip, but you know. What is it? Oh, it's a tweet. Okay. It's the last day of fall. It's the last day. Hi, Fart Bubbler. How are you? Oh my gosh. Once again, you caught me streaming late. Or maybe it's early for you. I don't know what time it is for you. I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong, it's like 2 where you are right now. Am I right or am I wrong? No, it's morning. Alright, fair enough. Good morning. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. It's 6 a.m. Jesus. Well, then again, I was in Hawaii for a while, so my time was really jumbled then. Oh my god, 6:15. That is early. Are you going to work? You're getting ready for the day? I unfortunately had to do that just yesterday. Got ready for the day pretty dang early, and I regretted every moment of it. I am not an early bird. I am not. But luckily, because I'm not, and our time kind of collides, you catch me occasionally, so there's that silver lining, I suppose. I'm not going to be able to find this black trumpet. And I need to find it before fall ends. Work starts at 8:30. Oh, okay. Oh, do you work from home? Is that what you mean? You're technically always at work? Because if that's the case, you got a work call an hour ago. You're not even working. You don't work till 8. What are you doing, Fart Bubbler? What are you doing? Don't answer them calls. Wait, are you salary? Because if you're salary, I get it. But if you're not, don't answer them calls. Don't let them control you. I know, it's late. Ooh, what's the task? You want stones? Okay. What's 5 rocks? Such is the life of a systems administrator. The way I would put my phone on silent. No. If my work starts at 8:30, you're gonna get me at 8:30. You're not gonna get me at 8:10, not 8:15, not 8:29. 8:30 on the dot. That's when you'll see me. Because, like, come on. Companies like that, they'll work you to death for no reason. And then wonder why you're so stressed all the time. You have a good job. Why are you stressed? You logged 4 hours and 15 minutes. Already? That's wild. You are a different breed. I cannot compete with you, and I will not try. Okay, got this. Oh, right. I wanted to make honey. I was like, why do I have flowers? Because I'm making honey. Anyway, go to bed. Is Luffy gonna say goodnight? Oh, Luffy's in the bed. Looks even curious eyes. I love you, Luffy. Never leave me. Okay, mining went up. I got a skill point. Got double explosives. They shouldn't have gave me that. It's all over now. It's all over. It's Randy's birthday. We have to get up a cake or something. Out of office work is minimum 4 hours unless there's specific contract. This is why. I would not be doing the extra work. You're wild for that. You're crazy. What the hell was that? Okay. Alright. You felt a large impact last night. Yeah, dang right I did. What are we cooking today? A rainbow sandwich. Pick some colorful fresh vegetables, chop them up nicely, like so. Look at those colors. The bread is soft and chewy. Wow, wow, wow. So simple. Red tomato, any vegetable, any mayonnaise. Okay. Hi, Luffy. Oh, precious. Hell yeah, it's a gay sandwich, everyone. You thought Pride was over? Not even a little bit. Let's get you down. Okay, come on. I think I watered everything yesterday. I have so many vegetables. Ah, I could just give him a vegetable, but if he doesn't like the vegetable I give him, then it's a waste. I want to waste no damn vegetables. Especially on his birthday, because I think that makes him mad at me more. Okay, what are you? Papaya. Oh, heck, a cheese wheel! Oh, it's all over. Come on out, babies. Come on out. Everybody out. You're probably cranky because I didn't feed y'all yesterday. Come on out. I'm leaving the gate open so you guys can go and eat food if you want. Oh, look at you. Oh, happy babies. Happy chickens. Baby Hennessy. Who is that? Count Duckula? Who is that? No, that's Side Chick. Pet Hen Grid and Count Duckula. Fabulous. Whoa, that was a lag and a half. Jesus Christ. Saving that. I have a whole cheese wheel. Having a whole cheese wheel is somewhere on my bucket list. Really? You know Count Duckula? I do. I actually raised them. Count Duckula is my child, actually. Okay, and then I'll do regular.